So today I want to tell you about one of my strollers. This is the Baby Jogger City Select, and it is fantastic. This is a double stroller, but it is super versatile. It can be a single stroller, it can be a triple stroller, it can be configured several different ways. You can use an infant seat, you can face them forward, you can face them towards you, you can face them opposite or the same. It has a ton of different configurations, and that is what I love so much about this stroller, is how useful and versatile it is. So right now I have it set up as a double stroller. Both seats are parent facing. There are a bunch of different options, but that's just what I had right now. So a couple of features that I'll show you first. One thing I love about the stroller is the handlebar. It is a telescoping handlebar. So you just squeeze this button here and push it in or pull it out. So when my 5-year-old is helping me push, I put it down to the lower setting because he can reach that better. When he is not helping me push, then I pull it up, and I'm 5'7", so I prefer the higher height. It does not come with a parent console, but I bought one from Amazon, and I'll link to that below. That fits on here perfect, and Velcro's on there. That way you can have, 2 drinks and your phone and that kind of stuff. But for the purpose of this video, I left it off because I wanted you to see what it looks like without that. So the brake on this is really cool. It is not a foot brake like most strollers have. It is actually right here on the side, and it is just a little lever that you flip up, which brakes it. So it rocks a little bit, but it's not going to roll forward. And then to release it, you pull up and flip it back down. So super easy. It's really nice. You don't have to worry about if you're wearing flip-flops and that's going to hurt the top of your foot when you release the brake. You can just real easily brake it. On the flip side, sometimes my kids who are walking next to the stroller or who are sitting in this top seat will reach over and mess with it and flick it while I'm pushing, and all of a sudden we grind to a halt. So that's a little bit frustrating, and of course I have to try to teach them not to do that. But overall it is really fantastic, and I love the fact that the brake is like this. The basket under here is ginormous. I'm going to take this top piece off. The basket is huge. I've owned several different strollers, and this is the best basket I've had on any of the strollers. It is stretchy on all sides, so you can actually easily access the basket from the side to get to your diaper bag, from the back, and even from the front. So if you don't have a seat on the front, maybe you just have a seat on the back here. You can even get to the basket from the front, and it actually has a zipper that unzips, which makes the basket lay flat, like it's completely open now to the stroller. So you can even put like a case of bottled water at the store or something like that. I am in love with the space. I use it like almost like a wagon. So I have my kids or a kid in there, and then diaper bag, baby carrier, a lunchbox, our coats. Tons of stuff fits in there, and because of the stretchiness, you can expand, you can really fit a lot in there. So it is amazing. The tires are really large. They are not, this is not a jogging stroller, though the name is called Baby Jogger. It's not actually a jogging stroller, but the tires are really hardy and huge and big, and they take rough terrain pretty easily. I would not advise jogging with this, but walks around the neighborhood are totally fine. They're not quite as shock absorbing as my jogging stroller. So when we go over like really rough gravel, the kids are kind of bounced around a little bit, but it's not horrible, and it definitely handles it better than like an umbrella stroller. So it's kind of a good in between, where it's not a full jogging stroller. You wouldn't take it off-roading or anything, but it can definitely handle walks around the neighborhood and that kind of stuff. So the tires are really great. So the modular system itself is really easy to change. There are 2 little buttons on each seat that you push, that releases it, and then you just click it back down into place. And you have to line up your little things, push it down, you'll hear a click, and you have flipped your seats around. So let me show you some of these. All right, So right now, these pieces are in because I had it in double stroller mode. If you're just gonna have it in single stroller mode, you can take these out and leave them at home so they're not poking up, but those are what you then stick in later to make it a double stroller. Okay, so let's look at it with a car seat. So here's the car seat adapter, and just like with the seats that come with the stroller, it snaps into place. And then you just set your stroller in there. Now, this is not a universal car seat adapter. You get a different adapter depending on what car seat you have. I have a Kiko KeyFit 30, and so I have the adapter that goes with that. So it actually snaps into place, unlike some, because with a universal adapter, it's not going to snap into place because every car seat's different. It does also come with a safety strap that you attach across the middle for just a second. Well, now I can't get it, of course. Second amount of security, and now you can have your infant, you know, if they're asleep in the car, just transfer them into the stroller like that. You've got tons and tons, like a ridiculous amount of space underneath in the basket because your baby is up high out of the way. So it is fantastic. You can also have them down one level, and if you don't want them like so far up, but I always like my babies up as high as possible so I can put a passy in, touch them, whatever. So there it is in single car seat mode. Of course, if you have an older child, you can also just easily add a second seat and stick your other kiddo in there, and then you're good to go. Got baby up here, toddler down here. Notice whenever you have the second seat on, it does take up some of the basket space. Depending on how long their legs are, they may have their feet in the basket. It's not a huge amount. It doesn't take up like so much space that it's annoying, but just know that it does take up a little bit of your large storage basket because your kids' feet are down there, especially if they're long enough that they go down past the end of the frame. Okay, and so if you are done with your kids in infant car seats, then you would just use the two seats that come with Baby Jogger, and you can put them in whichever configuration you like. So right now they are both parent facing. They have really big canopies. There's a little magnetic window at the top. It's not a great window. It's kind of dark mesh, so it's not really easy to see into, but there is one. It's not a breathable mesh, so there's a clear plastic thing, so just FYI. And then it magnets closed, which is really convenient. The harnesses are your pretty standard over the shoulder and around the waist harness that every stroller I've ever owned has had. So pretty standard, easy to use buckle. You can get snack trays with it. I have one of them, but I don't usually put it on the stroller because it's just easier to get the kids in and out if this is not on. But I'll show it to you. I'll flip it around so it'll be easier to show. Okay, so now this is in two kids. The two kids are facing each other. I've never used this mode. I feel like my kids will probably kick each other in the face, but it is an option. Okay, so the snack tray actually swings out, which is really convenient because I've had strollers where the snack tray is like attached and you have to completely take it off in order to get, in order to open up the seat. And so this is nice that it swings out so your child can climb in and out and close it back without you having to remove the whole entire piece, because it's hard, sometimes to get your child in and out of the stroller. Okay, so one of the things that I love best about this stroller is the recline. So to recline the stroller, there is a little handle that you squeeze and push up, and then you lay the seat back, and it can go at different angles, but this is almost completely flat, which I love having it like this because I'm not crazy about using the car seat attached to the stroller. I would much rather just use one of the seats that comes with the stroller. So I actually used this from a pretty early age because it's almost flat like a bassinet. So I would lay my baby in there. Now that may not be like recommended by the stroller people, so I'm not saying you should do that. I'm just saying that's what I felt comfortable doing. We weren't going like on long walks or anything, but just in and out where I was always standing here looking at her, whatever. I would just lay her in here, and because it has this really deep seat and the footrest, like she couldn't come sliding out or anything. I could easily put the shade up, and it was just perfect. A lot of times we would go outside to play, and I would pull this out of the car and set it up and lay her in there so she could, you know, I could set her down while the older kids were playing and I was taking care of them or whatever. So the Recline is amazing, and of course with your older child, you could put them in there and they could take a nap or whatever. The footrest is very easy to adjust. It has 2 buttons on the outside here, and you just push them, and you can have it up further, which you would use for a smaller child, or you can put it down, which would be for a bigger child who doesn't need the footrest so much, or would just kind of rest their feet right here. Lengthwise, if you just have it in single stroller mode, it is not super long. I did a side-by-side comparison with my Bumble Ride Indie Twin jogging stroller, and the length is exactly the same. You can see that video, I'll link that below. But the length is the same until you put the second seat on. Once you put the second seat on, it's going to stick out further and it's going to be quite a bit longer. It's not like hugely unmanageably long, although I would recommend putting your heavier child in this seat closer to you and your lighter child in this seat, because if you have your heavier child in the second seat over the wheels, it's a little bit hard to push, and it's definitely hard if you're trying to go like on a curb and you've got to push down. A lot of weight in the front to push up. Width-wise, it is definitely wider than most single strollers, like a little umbrella stroller, of course, but it's not as wide as a double stroller. I have compared that with the Bumble Ride Indie Twin as well in a separate video that you can see. So, all right, now let's talk about the fold. Okay, so to fold it, you can leave the seats on, but I personally prefer to just go ahead and lift the seats off because it's really easy to get them on and off, and that way it folds more compactly for my van. So take your seats off, put them in the van or the car or whatever, and then to fold the frame, there are 2 handles that say fold on them that you just grab and you lift up, and it just folds in half. I usually grab this. There's a bar across the middle. I usually use that to then carry it, put it in the car. It's kind of heavy. It just is. Like, that's got huge tires. It's a really sturdy frame. So I don't know the exact weight, but it is definitely pretty heavy, but it's not completely unmanageable. It's definitely easier than trying to get a huge double stroller like my Bumble Ride Indie Twin in and out of the car. So here it is in the back of my van. The 2 seats are behind the frame, and there is space around it still. So anyway, I put this in, and I put the 2 seats in, and then when we get wherever we're going, I can just open the frame up, which is really easy. Clicks into place, and then grab one or both seats, depending on how many children I have with me that I'm putting in a stroller, and snap those on, and we're good to go. Okay, a couple of other features that I forgot to mention that I want to mention before I finish this video. The backs of the seats each have a mesh pocket. I don't typically use those, but that'd be convenient, especially maybe for this older child to stick some of their toys in so they can easily grab them. There's one, or if you have them flipped around, then the pocket is where you can put your stuff, especially if you're not using a parent console that you buy and attach separately. Also, the footrests, I showed you how they go up and down. You can also make them shorter or longer. I usually just keep them on the longer setting because my 3-year-old and 5-year-old need the longer setting, and my baby does not need either one. She's not big enough, so I just leave them on the larger setting. Also, FYI, it's very easy to take this apart to wash it. I bought this one used, and I wanted to wash it really well, and so it's very easy to take all of the seat pieces apart. I just Googled and found a tutorial on how to do that and followed that. Okay, so that is the Baby Jogger City Select. It is an amazing stroller. I love it. Of course, as with all strollers, there are pros and cons, and it's going to depend on what you personally want in a stroller. For me, the cons of the stroller are that it is large. It's not as big as my double jogger, so it does fit better in my van, but it still takes up a lot of space in the van. So that is one thing that I'm like, it's kind of a bummer that it takes up so much space. Also, it's kind of heavy. It's not horrible, but it is a little bit heavy, so if you're not, if you're really petite or you're not very strong, that might be an issue for you. And then, of course, it's not actually a jogging stroller, and I do like to jog with my kids, and so that's one big downside. But overall, the pros, I mean, it's amazing. I love the super easy handbrake. I love the handle because I'm tall, and so I love that. The versatility is second to none. I mean, it's amazing to have it as a single stroller, to have it as a double stroller, to have it forward-facing, parent-facing, bunches of different options. That is wonderful. And so we have used this for all sorts of stuff, and it is a great stroller. So I hope that helped as you are checking out strollers, and I definitely recommend this. Oh,